Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush gets personal, releasing a new campaign ad attacking frontrunner Donald Trump. Look at this.
I lived in New York City and Manhattan all my life, okay? So, you know, my views are a little bit different than if I lived in Iowa.
Partial birth abortion.
I'm very pro-choice. I am pro-choice in every respect and as far as it goes.
Well, the ad paints Trump as a fake conservative. Donald Trump responded to the attack this morning on Good Morning America. Watch this.
Well, I think he had really no choice. He's doing very poorly in the polls. He's a very low-energy kind of guy, and he had to do something. So they're spending a lot of money on ads. And, you know, he has a lot of money from the hedge fund guys, from the special interests, from lobbyists. He raised over $100 million, so they control him totally. So he really had no choice, I think, Georgie.
And we want to bring in best-selling author and businessman Robert Kiyosaki, who has co-authored 2 books with Donald Trump. Bob, good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us. Is Trump at risk of losing support?
Well, he's always at risk. But if I could say, Donald Trump and I got together as educators about 15 years ago. We could see this economic crisis coming. And we see the crisis as a crisis in education, asking why is there no financial education in our school systems? You know, everybody talks about this gap between the rich and the poor, and on one side they talk about, you know, giving people money or, you know, giving people fish. Well, we see the gap as a cause. The way we fix the gap is by teaching people to fish. So that's why Donald and I got together, and he'd make a great president as an educational president.
Geraldo, you just met. Tell us who you just met with on the immigration side and on the Hispanic group.
Jose Palomares is the head of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It represents over 3 million Hispanic-owned businesses. Obviously, this meeting took place in the context of Donald Trump saying some, in my view, draconian things to deal with the admitted gigantic problem with undocumented immigrants in this country. Trump wanting to build a wall, Trump characterizing Mexican immigrants as druggies and rapists and so forth. So Trump wanted to heal a rift. Trump is by far the least popular Republican candidate for the Hispanic vote. So you suggest that Trump wants to do business. Trump had a meeting yesterday at Trump Tower here with Jorge Palomares, the head of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and they agreed essentially to disagree. They were going to have further conversations. At one point, Trump offered to host the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce at Doral in Miami. That offer was turned down. Do you think that Trump has the flexibility, as the businessman that you suggest he is, to understand that he cannot win without the Latino or some percentage of the Latino vote? Will he have the guts, uncharacteristic flexibility to change or modify his opinions about the wall and forced deportation of even citizen children, for example?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Oh, immigration is an international problem, and America has the worst problem of all. I think our stats are up 80%. You know, people are running from Africa, South America, as well as Asia. And at least he's saying something. I don't like what he characterized my Mexican friends as. You know, that was not bright, since 1 out of 6 Americans is of Latino heritage. But he does bring to issue a very serious problem, which is mass immigration throughout the world. And at least he's saying something and doing it. I don't like what he said about my Hispanic friends, though.
Which is why he's in the lead. He's saying what some people believe to be true, and they are sick and tired of the inaction by the establishment. Monica Crowley, you're working on a big column coming out tomorrow in the Washington Times, where you're going to break news about Hillary.
Yes,
how does
not
this fit
on
into
Donald
this?
Trump.
Yeah, how does this fit into this conversation?
Well, I mean, I actually, before we get into that, Maria, I just wanted to ask Bob, because you've worked with Trump. Seems to me that Donald Trump's appeal is more based on his attitude and his approach and his energy rather than ideology. And, you know, when Maria lays out his shifting positions, and I don't actually think he's been a principled conservative his whole life, but I think a lot of people just don't care at this point. Now, that may change as we get close to actually spending our votes, but for now, just people don't change. They want a fighter. And that, I think, is something that you've seen with Donald Trump, right?
I agree wholeheartely. He's also a very kind, nice, funny guy, working with him for about 15 years now. Unfortunately, everybody's been asking for change, change, change. Well, if Donald Trump is elected, there will be change. You may not like the change, but there will be change.
Well, what kind of change?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He'll shake up the bag and a lot. My concern for my friend Donald Trump is he's stepping on a lot of big toes. And I'm sure right now the knives are being sharpened.
Robert, are you going to vote for him?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's a great man. Let me just say this much. Donald Trump knows how to make money. All the other candidates, whether Republican, Democratic, or Independent, all they know how to do is spend money. We need a president who knows how to make money, and that's why I'm voting for him.
Robert, he also knows how to blow money up. Don't forget he's gone bankrupt, not just once. So, when you talk big time like he talks, and the point that you said, stepping on people's toes, how does Mr. Big Time do when he meets, somebody who's also big time who does not appreciate the toe stepping?
He didn't go bankrupt.
That's what is concerning me. And the thing about bankruptcy, part of financial education is he went bankrupt business-wise. He didn't go bankrupt personally.
Yeah,
and when most people think of bankruptcy, because they have no financial education, all they know is personal bankruptcy, not corporate bankruptcy.
Yeah, I get that. But if you get somebody who's equal, maybe more big time, imagine that. Somebody like Howard Schultz, who has not taken his company into bankruptcy, who also has political aspirations. Well, how would he do against him in a real debate?
I think Trump would be well welcomed. He would speak for the person who is frustrated, sick and tired of politics, and sick and tired of talk and no action.
Right.
Trump will shake things up. Again, it's change that people want. Unfortunately, the change may upset many, many people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if Donald Trump is the Republican nominee, the Democratic candidate he will not face, and I've said this on your show repeatedly, is Hillary Clinton. I have a column breaking tomorrow where I break a lot of news in the Washington Times tomorrow about Hillary's counterattack against President Obama. As I've long argued here, President Obama, this whole FBI investigation is Obama trying to take Hillary out. Hillary now understands this, and she is counterattacking. And I lay it all out tomorrow. I don't want to give too much away.
How's she going to counterattack without giving too much away? What's she going to do?
Well, there's a strategy that she's already put into place to try to lay a defense on the classified emails and so on, which is the well-worn Clintonian path of designating a fall person. And in the column, I designate who it's going to be because she's already chosen that person.
You don't think this is a big deal, the email scandal?
I think the email thing is the biggest pile of wishful thinking by Hillary haters. It amounts to a hill of beans.
Well, here's the
I think
problem,
that none of these emails were classified at the time that she disseminated them. This is fast and furious writ large. This is the fake stand-down order in Benghazi. It beat her on the policy, beat her on her inefficient tenure as Secretary of State. Don't try this same old.
Geraldo, we just learned that her IT staff, while at the State Department, didn't even know that she had this private email server. You don't think that's
I am a lawyer. There is no crime here, and contrary to Monica's belief that the FBI is now some self-starting agency in a major criminal probe, I submit to you that this is still the Oversight Committee. It's still Darrell Issa and Trent Gowdy and those same old Republican thugs.
This is the FBI A team working on this.
This is a nothing scandal.
The only person driving the bus. This is not the conservatives or Republicans. The only person driving the bus here is Barack Obama.
Well,
you're not bothered by the fact that she wiped the server clean.
I think that
as a government official, that doesn't bother you.
When you read some of the personal aspects, anecdotes in the email, knowing that she's more than a politician, she's also a celebrity who has been part of our lives for decades, and she didn't want you to read about her dirty bra and her socks and what Chelsea is getting along with her husband. And these are
so you
absolutely
buy her lies that her emails were about her yoga schedule. Give me a break.
Why don't we go after her for losing the Middle East, for giving away Libya, for allowing Syria to go down the toilet? Why are we insisting? Why are we insisting on trying to find a fake scandal to tarnish her? Wow. Just let her wear us out.
Are you comfortable with Hillary Clinton as the leader of the free world? And if she decides she wants to wipe all the information or whatever server she's had in the White House, are you comfortable with that? Okay, that the public doesn't have any information?
I have no doubt, but that servers have since time immemorial been wiped and re-wiped and washed and scrubbed.
So you were okay with Nixon and the 18.5-minute gap then?
The 18.5-minute gap came in the context of an obstruction of justice.
What do you think this is?
There is no obstruction of justice alleged.
She wiped the server
even
after
alleged
the subpoena.
In this case.
Of course, she wiped the server after the subpoena.
There is not one inkling, and everyone is missing this point, not one inkling that she disseminated a classified document to someone unauthorized to receive it.
Yesterday,
not one.
There were 125
the Washington Post.
They changed, ex post facto made it classified.
No. Geraldo,
You're talking about newspaper articles.
Geraldo.
People get over it. There's no there.
All right, her Democratic support for her has dropped
Robert
over 20
Kiyosaki,
points
I wanted
in the
to
polls.
ask him how he felt about Trump's imitation of an Asian person.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't take it too personally. I know him personally. He's a great man. I think this is what people are fed up with. People are talking about stuff that really doesn't make that much difference to them. Technically, as a businessman, America is bankrupt when you look at our forward obligations. And I think we need to have a guy who's more economic than somebody who's a politician
and people have to have
like
somebody
Hillary.
they can trust, too, which is the problem with Hillary.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
The three words.
And isn't that what Jeb Bush's ads about Trump are trying to say?
Bob Kiyosaki, thank you for joining us.
Who can fix the economy?
I'm sorry?
Not Hillary.
Not Trump
Who can
either.
fix the economy? It's not Hillary. It's not those other guys.
Right.
There's only
You may
one
be
guy
right
strong
about
enough to fix the economy.
Bob,
It's Mr. Trump.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bob Kiyosaki, Geraldo Rivera, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Monica Crowley will look for your column tomorrow.